Ready? Here we go.
Are we playing Name That Tune?
$1,000 if you could tell me who sings that. All right. You'll never get it.
You know that.
Collective
Soul?
Soul. Right.
Hold on.
Collective Soul.
Hold on a second.
What's up? Okay, I'm going to keep on talking.
Everything okay, sorry. Right? I have some echoes going on somewhere. Right. I just have to fix them.
Yeah. So Collective Soul, which I always loved as a, as a kid or whatever, growing up thinking like, oh, if I ever played baseball, I'd walk up to home plate at my first at bat with that. I just see walking up there, twirling the bat, going like this. All right. So that's our theme song.
Nice.
I don't think we have to copyright it. I didn't play it long enough.
Oh, is that how that works?
Yeah. And we're going with big faces today.
Hopefully they look good.
Yeah, they look great. Big faces today. And I'm wearing a hat. I just don't like the way my head looks anymore. Done.
I don't think anybody likes the way all of us look sometimes.
If we get tired, we're just going to go.
Yeah, right. So you can't see as much of us.
Right. You'll see more of the background, less of us. We'll stick like this for a little bit. Right. So, all right, let's get into it. People are going to pop in. Hello, welcome everyone. We made a post today about today's topic, which is vintage worth it? And who came up with that topic?
I do believe you did.
Why?
Because I think your eyes have been open to certain things that are out there that we have probably not paid a lot of attention to.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
And it's not really
it's not our forte.
Not our niche.
No.
And Patrick says, hello, Patrick. And Patrick sent him to say hello and light up that thumbs up. Thank you, Patrick. Appreciate that. So, we could talk about anything, anytime, whatever. But for some reason, we this whole vintage thing popped in that you and I are coming across a lot of items that are vintage. And what does that mean? Number one.
Going to say, got to define that for those who don't know.
Yeah. And is it worth it? And what kind of vintage are we talking about? Because that's a blanket category. It could be like, collectibles. It could be anything.
Right.
So we definitely are going to probably start grabbing a little bit more vintage. And it's just because we want to start expanding it to different categories. I think Laurie and I have realized that we're just kind of a little spooked with how slow our sales have been with just selling electronics.
Right. Okay. Is it time to branch out to other things?
Yeah. And why not? I mean, if I come across it, I might as well do it.
Yeah. Well, honestly, if to be honest, if we could just figure out an easy way to list it, there would be no reason not to get it. Mm-hmm. Right. I think that has always been the setback or the reluctance on our part to get things that we didn't know or didn't understand how easy it was to list with a model number and so forth. So all we have to do is figure out a way to make that happen. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's a way, right? Other people do it all the time. I mean, other people do it only. That's all they sell is that kind of stuff, and they figure it out. How hard could it be?
Yeah, you and I are in this business to make enough so we could earn a living. It's not like we're doing it as let's dabble in it because I feel like it this year.
Right.
Just put the word vintage in front of things 20 years old and bam, it's done.
Is that all that matters? Is that all you have to do? Maybe.
Then I mean, the whole joke is, then we're antiques.
Right. Oh,
Anything
yeah.
anything antique is 25 years and older. Vintage.
Really?
Yeah, when I first started selling, this is what the thing. Like when I first started selling in 2013 on eBay, I couldn't believe that a 1987 boombox was vintage, or a
Right.
night of this was uh, this was considered vintage if it was from the 80s, and now we're something in the 90s is vintage.
Right.
You and I went to ThriftCon in Vegas, and there was a bunch of 20-year-olds walking around with Nirvana shirt. Well, not a Nirvana shirt. That's like a $400 shirt, but Backstreet Boys. Well, that's 2000, but you get my point. They're walking around with these shirts that had yellow armpit stains, and they're vintage.
Yeah,
and they're collectible.
I know, it is crazy.
Yeah. Just want to say hi to Flippin' Hustler. That's a great point. Google Lens sure does help, and Google Lens.
Yeah, we have to use that more.
Totally.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm seeing people where I source doing that. I'm like, darn, I feel so like I feel like they're ahead of the curve because they know how to use it. And
right.
Yeah, and definitely have to. Thanks, Flippin' Hustler. Very good point. Google Lens, and also we're going to talk to somebody from eBay about Terapeak, and then there's Worth Point. We could talk about. These are just databases where they're using such, lenses, the Google lenses or the AI stuff to just plop, that photo in, and it pulls it up. And I did that the other day. I couldn't, how I like to grab things from the bins, and I just find the model number, punch it in, and there it is. And 5 years ago, that was like the way to go. I was like, this is great. Look at eBay's great. I couldn't find this one thing, didn't have a model number, but I knew it was like a remote control for one of these mechanical robot toys. And I know that they're like $30. I just could not find anything. So I'm like, hey, and all of a sudden I was like, let me try that Google Lens.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, it popped up. The image popped up, and it had a title like, Tyrannosaurus Rexosaurus thing. And so I used that to search.
In eBay.
So I used that to, kind of
get the title. Yeah.
Yes. So I had to rely upon the title. So very
That's
good.
Great.
Thank you, Flippin' Hustler. Great point. Patrick says, joking aside, it does aggravate him how many times that word is used in junk.
Well, like you said, if you want to make something sound better than it might be, then all you got to do is say it's vintage. But those who know probably know, I would think. Like, we're not really well versed in it, but there are some people who know exactly what all that stuff is, and they're going to know if it's not legit. I would hope. Can
we get into a little bit of eBay, geek, nerd talk, geek talk, but we don't have to bring the
good, because I forgot to bring it up.
Yeah, we don't need to bring the animated nerd alert or whatever. But can we talk about that? Like, putting the word vintage in your title and how that's actually probably not a good thing.
Well, they always say you want to use up the first, I forget how many characters of the title. Like, that's prime real estate for your search results. So you don't want to take up the first couple words or characters or whatever on stuff like that. If it's not truly, I guess, really relevant to the item. If I was going to use that word, I would put it like farther down in the title. If it truly is that, but then again, people, okay, this is the question. Do you think people are searching for vintage? We should definitely not put VTG. Like, that was definitely something you should not do. But yeah, I don't know about using the word. We use other qualifiers or adjectives like genuine or original. Or the worst, I hate OEM. I hate when I see that. But yeah, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing to use it or not. But if you are going to use it, I wouldn't put it first. That's what I would think.
Patrick, don't use the V word, please.
The V word.
Get that off the screen ASAP. No, but it's seriously, Patrick, for example, smart reseller, knows his stuff. He may not have picked up on that from whether it's a YouTuber or eBay or an email. Um, and he just heard it here. And so that's what I'm saying. Like there's nuggets that we are getting. Like last week, just to share with the group, we had Jared Hooker from
Mm-hmm.
eBay, and his formal title is
He's a growth advisor.
Yeah.
North American growth advisor.
Right. So his job is to electrify or energize or increase seller sales.
He's specifically in the ads department. So his primary focus is educating us on promoted listings, all the sorts of promoted listings you can do on eBay. But his department is actually all about helping sellers grow. So we were so excited to have him on our Zoom. I hope some of our listeners were able to get in on that, because they want to follow up with them individually and talk to sellers and look at their accounts, look at their listing quality report, and see how they can make improvements in order to hopefully get better sales. I have a follow up with him on Thursday, I believe, that I'm going to talk to him about the implementations we've made. Not sure I will have any great success for him by then, but it was super helpful, and the feedback we got on that Zoom was one of the best ones we ever had, which I was like, oh, that's great. That's cool.
And I don't want to digress too much, but today someone at the bins, Laura, mentioned that she was having trouble with her account, and she didn't know how to really explain it, but she encountered the defect rate situation that we talked about. And I was trying to explain it to her. I said, listen, eBay floods you with this and that and this and that and how to do that. And I expressed like the most important thing is the wellness of your account status and be above standard. Don't get these defects. So I referenced her to, I think it was episode 9 that we talked about that.
Yeah.
Which in my opinion is the most important eBay nugget you should have. Everyone should have, and it should be on your seller hub. Don't do this or do this. So go back to episode 9, because we talk about how it's not worth it to really get flagged on your account. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I just want to share that with the group. So, and Patrick, we hear you. OEM, genuine.
OEM, I mean, the average person may not understand what that means.
Original equipment manufacturer,
something like that. That's what that means. It's like jargon, How
about rare, all capitalized? Rare.
I don't know.
I'm gonna put medium rare next time. See if it's medium rare.
That would be funny, actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot. Why not? It's 3 letters. I at this point I'll do anything, to increase.
True.
Patrick, darn it, totally missed that. I did 3 shows last Wednesday. Patrick's been busy too. Really appreciate his stuff. I missed his live the other night. There's so much good stuff out there. The YouTube lives, especially all YouTube reselling stuff. You have the traditional YouTubers that show their GoPro going out interacting with garage sales. That's cool. Like that's fun because that's like entertainment and that's fun. Like I even get like an adrenaline rush. Like, like I see them walking through a flea market. I'm like, why'd you miss that? Go back to that table. I feel like yelling at. And it's neat. And Patrick does the same. He's doing a lot of good stuff, driving around flea markets, comic book stores. It's fun. And I think a lot of people are picking up a lot of good tips from everybody.
Yeah, sure.
Patrick says he worked in cellular for 20 years and still have to look up OEM. We understand. It's corporate jargon.
Yeah, basically.
So to our topic that we are doing, is vintage worth it? And I'm going to say it depends.
Really?
Yeah.
Explain yourself.
It depends because the trade-off is the duration, the length of time it's going to take for something to sell. When I see vintage, when I hear vintage, when I see unique stuff, it does nothing for me because I'm thinking quick transaction, have to sell it within 3 months because that's our criteria for our reselling business, which we are motivated by
Money.
activity, sales, and profit, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so that's us. And we steer away from it
Right, but
until
what makes you think it's gonna sit there forever? What makes
I
you get that,
I just think it's
think
like
that?
finding a needle in a haystack. You're waiting for one person to Google the right, whatever, and have it go to eBay and find your item. I just and you and I, to share with everyone, we do our listings how? Like, how do we typically create our listings? This came up Saturday night, and
I was like, Saturday night, what was that? That was our in-person meetup that we had. Yeah, we do everything by sell similar, which is good and bad. Can be good and bad. We find a similar listing that has sold from the same model number that we have and base our new listing off that listing. Some people swear that that's a terrible, terrible, awful way to do it.
only because you're bringing in somebody else's sloppy work. When you sell similar, it's populating
Well,
with a lot of someone else's
yeah.
pre-filled stuff.
Well, item specifics and title that may or may not be correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to do it that way, you either need to find a listing that already is accurate to your best of your, like, to 90% accurate. So you don't have to make that many changes. Or you better be prepared to, make the changes that are needed on that listing. But you have to know them. You just can't assume that the listing that you're bringing up is exactly matches what you have.
So last week I posted an Instagram story. I said something along the lines like, hey, like mistakes happen. Yeah, because I like to show that we all make mistakes. There's a lot that goes wrong when doing a listing. And it was a pair of Ray-Bans, aviators. They were
Oh.
gold.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, I when I was processing them with using one of our processing sheets, which we have right here, I wrote the item number that I wanted our lister to bring up, and then I guess I missed in the title that it said silver. I totally didn't see that. So that person bought those glasses, even though the photos look gold, even though the description, well, the item description could have been neutral. It's not going to say gold, but that person wanted to return because they just were like this, not item not as described, and they were totally correct. So I posted that on Instagram, and Paul Philly Flipper said, "Oh, tisk tisk tisk, shame on you, like kidding around. It happens."
Yeah,
That's the difference between selling similar as opposed to creating your listing on your own from scratch. You're less likely to make those mistakes with that. Yep.
but it might take longer.
Mm-hmm.
But if you use templates, then maybe not. And that's where I'm thinking we might want to go with this vintage stuff if you start picking it up.
Okay. Yeah. So the vintage things usually, in my opinion, are going to sit around for a year. I just have that feeling.
That's what my question is. Why do you have that feeling? Is it based on the history of it selling on eBay? Like that
Well,
particular one item? Because I think when it comes to that stuff, I think we can't use this. We may not want to use the same criteria that we use for the typical electronic stuff, perhaps. Do you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like when we see something and if it has a sales history of 3 or more in the last 90 days, we're like, oh, that's a pretty good chance of selling. But
Right.
just because something doesn't have that doesn't mean it's not going to sell quickly.
All right.
And that's where the knowledge comes in for that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. I want to share a screen, and this is where I'm going with this. When we talk vintage, I do come across things like this that I see in the bins. I see at flea markets.
Is that a golf club holder topper thing? Or is that just no? It looks like it belongs to the top of like a putter, but is that a case for Ray-Bans?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I was waiting to see how long it was going to take you to deduce, that it was Ray-Ban
Yeah, I
sunglasses
know.
case. Yeah, but this, you don't see these a lot. Like, this is a vintage sunglass case. It's a pouch. It's one of those
Right.
clicker
Close.
things. Boom.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
So I did see these in the bins, and and I was like, yeah, I'm grabbing that. Why wouldn't I? And I don't know what's in there. And sure enough, there was a pair of sunglasses in there. Took them out, and they were not Ray-Bans.
Hmm.
So, um, any idea what these are called based on your experience?
No, I
Anybody
forget.
want to take a guess
Eight.
in the chat? They're like this with the side things.
I forget.
All right. They are called mountaineering glasses.
Oh.
And you could imagine when you're
Mm.
mountaineering, whatever mountaineering means, but I've skied, especially out here in Colorado, and it's sunny all the time, and there's snow on the mountains, and it's bright. It is bright. You have to wear goggles or stuff like this. You have these side protectors to protect from sun coming in and getting glare. So these are mountaineering sunglasses. And I was looking all over them. And here's where I'm going with this vintage stuff. These are vintage. These are most likely early 90s, 80s. They're vintage. We don't want to hear that 80s and the 90s are vintage, but these are
No.
vintage. So there's no markings on them whatsoever. I know they're mountaineering glasses. So back to what the Flippin' Hustler was saying, use Google Lens. Yeah, sure. We will definitely, yeah, I mean, we already know what they are. If we had no idea what these were called, we would bring up Google Lens. So I already know where to find these in eBay. I'm going to vintage mountaineering glasses, and sure enough, they come up, and I'll share with the screen the item that I feel these are going to be. I could use some of these listings and do a sell similar, but customize it to eliminate the brand
Mm-hmm.
SunCloud,
Yeah.
Julbo. These are very popular mountaineering glasses. So I sorted this. These are sold, searched by vintage mountaineering sunglasses. These are sold, and I sorted it by shipping price, highest to lowest price and shipping included. All right. So you can see that 280, 150, 100. So to list these, I would scroll now, and because there's no brand on these, I'm just going to have to kind of undercut, or just not undercut, but I'm just going to price them low to move. And I may just select where I saw it earlier, like just a generic mountaineering sunglasses. There we go. Like something like this, and price these at $60.
What are for sale right now with those, Dave? Like what's being
Yeah,
offered at the moment?
I'm going there right now. Now this is sorted by highest to lowest. How would you like it sorted?
Go the other way.
Lowest to highest. All right.
Yeah. To see like what you're comparing it to.
Yeah. So here we have.
Oh
I'm just
wait,
gonna
look, is that ours?
this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is.
Oh
It
yeah,
could.
there it
Well,
is.
it could. Oh
It is.
yes.
No, it is.
That
It
is.
probably is.
That's because, just to share, we use cents, like a coding. This 72 cents means this should move. Now, once
But it
again,
also has H16 in the title. That's how
what does that mean?
that's our bin number.
Oh, okay. Let's get past that. So here you go. So you have some mountaineering ones that are 60-ish. So I still think these could take a year to sell.
Yeah, there's a
But
lot for sale.
yeah, there are. But the winter's coming up, so people heading on out to the mountains. So
Yeah.
Patrick says he remembers these. The popular brand growing up. Oh, these are so tight and uncomfortable. The popular brand was I Ski Lights and or Varnets, Vaurnet, Varnet, and they were very popular with these. Those things right there, the size, in the late 80s. I worked at Herman Sporting Goods, and I know a lot about these type of sunglasses. I Ski Lights, especially. Angie's here. We can start now. That gets a lot, but thanks for hopping in, Angie. Of course. And And Patrick said, yeah, he remembers those. He just didn't know what they were called. So that's where the Google Lens would come in handy.
Yeah.
That was shared earlier by the Flippin' Hustler. Just Google Lens them, and hopefully you could figure it out. And yeah, so that's a vintage. That's vintage. Is it worth it? $60.
Well, how much should you pay for them?
That shouldn't matter, should it?
No, I think it matters.
Okay. Well, you always say sometimes, don't just list things because you get it for nothing. Don't
right.
You say that?
Yeah. I mean, of course.
Our determining factor is the turnover, how quickly it's going to turn up. But that's us.
But no, what we have into it versus what we can get for it also is a factor. Because otherwise, it's going to cost us money to list that.
These are like -5 ounces.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You paid nothing for them. Yeah. So, of course, it's worth it. Why wouldn't it be?
So Goodwill paid me to take them. -5. Yeah.
Because we have the space and we have the time. Like, we don't, if that was a larger item that you spent a lot of money for and it was going to take forever to sell, may not be worth it, even if it's a vintage.
Yes, it matters. And if you pay $55 and it goes for $60, nope.
Exactly.
If I pay, I want to figure out where you're going to say no. If I had to pay, if I had to pay $5 for these, is it still worth it?
And you're selling them for how much?
$60.
Yes.
$10.
Yes.
$15. This is
maybe
fun. $18.
Probably.
$20.
No.
There you go.
Not if it's going to take a year to sell.
So
there's just like, you probably would have gotten it anyway. You would have bought it. Patrick
was saying yes. Patrick, would you buy these for $20 and sell them for $60 long term? This is great right here. Please, Pat. LOL is not an answer. $20, maybe not. So that's his
what I said.
All right, so that's where he's like,
it's 30%.
That's the tripling your money mindset. A lot of resellers have. Once it goes over that paying more than tripling, or once you can't triple, it's not worth it. So there you go. That's vintage. Is it worth it? It depends. Once again, small. It's not going to take up a ton of room.
Right.
Now, go ahead.
I was going to say, you come across a lot of vintage speakers in your travels. Right?
Wait, this thing. Boombox.
Oh, the boom, right, yeah.
But this is a piece of art.
Yeah. Amazing that you found more than one of those in the same week or month or something.
Well, within 3 weeks of each other, I found 2 of the same exact 1985 Magnavox boomboxes. One sold and both sold. This one came back as a return.
Yeah.
So I'm keeping it as a prop. Looks good. I love it.
Yep.
Going back to Patrick said, he goes, knowing a little something when using Google Lens helps. He has scanned figures that come back with figures totally unrelated and also comics. So yes, it is great, Google Lens, but don't solely rely upon it.
Yeah.
That's smart. Yeah. I honestly think with all the Google Lens and software like WorthPoint, Therapy, I think that this could become a new achievable or doable or attractive category to get into, because in the past, the people that would do vintage were the type of flea market gurus that could tell you a story about everything for 5 minutes. That takes decades. I know those people.
True. Yeah, that's true. You don't want to be that person. Mm-hmm. You just want to flip it as fast as you can and make some money.
Boombox, 80s boombox. It's a work of art right there. Love that. Oh, I have some cassettes up there, Bon Jovi and Scorpions, and a Metallica's, and it sounds great.
So why did it get returned though? I forget. What did he say?
I forget. I think it had to do with something with the cassette. Like I thought it was working. I don't know. It was last year, and I was almost happy. I was like, good, that's fine. It's beautiful to look at. I want one bigger though. I want like there's one called not a linear. I forget the name, but they do come out every once in a while. But I'm gonna have to pay up for it. But would you imagine this whole wall just filled with boom boxes? Oh,
I'm sure you could make that happen.
Name brand ones too.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up having a Sears brand. LXI, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So what is your take on vintage stuff?
My take.
When you hear vintage, what do you think of typically?
Honestly, it sounds like it's valuable. Vintage, valuable, that it's old enough where people have interest in it for a reason. Like there's a reason why people are want something that's vintage, whether it's like it brings back a memory, from your childhood or something, but I mean, I guess when we were younger, vintage seemed older than now, but I guess it never changed. I guess it's always been over 20 years. I have no idea. Like this is a whole new area for us. I don't really know. I just think that it's out there, and just like we leave money on the table for things other people sell, same thing is happening with vintage clothing and or other things.
Right. I'm going to dive into this right here. Patrick, we have a huge confession to make. Laurie and I, or whoever did that post, that was me, total posers today.
Which one is that?
He says, by the way, I did see the pics of the concert tees and soles. Awesome, guys. Did you see today's post? Did you scroll through the carousel? No, you didn't. You just saw the first one.
I've been busy.
Yeah, I know you've been busy. What I did was on our Instagram, I should bring it up. What I did was I did a search for vintage tees, concert tees.
Oh, you put other people's pictures?
Yeah, well, yeah, totally. But I could redeem myself a little bit. Patrick, stay tuned, please. I'm going to redeem myself. He's going to still say awesome job anyway. What I did was I sorted the highest to lowest. And if you want to bring that up, show it on the screen when I'm talking, that would be cool.
Oh.
Just the picture.
These t-shirts?
Yeah. What I did was I showed that there's a Motley Crue 1985 concert t-shirt that went for $450. That was not ours. This Nirvana was not ours. These were somebody else's.
But that's crazy.
I know it
Who
is.
pays awesome. That kind of money for that
I don't
stuff?
know. You'd be surprised.
Oh, I know.
Look at the interest at ThriftCon. People were like, I got caught up
closed, though.
I know, but I got caught up in the moment. There were a lot of concert t-shirts there. And I was going up to some guy saying, hey, do you have any of this group? Like I got like in the weird fever of it, and it just happens. And here you go. People in the 40s want to buy back their childhood. So I sell it to them. You nailed it. That's exactly true.
Yeah. Or you want to get that t-shirt you didn't buy at the concert that you went to, I guess.
Or you didn't get for Christmas. Yeah. No, I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever buy concert t-shirts?
No. I barely went to concerts when I was young. Literally. I went to one.
Me too.
Yeah, I know. We won't tell people
I went to Striper with my church youth group. So let's change topic. Actually, it was a great time.
Yeah,
it was a good time. It was a good time. It's just not flipping over cars and burning them and drinking communion wine, even though I know somebody that was a friend of mine that never mind drank some communion wine.
Digressing here.
Anyway, Patrick says, I got the same perception. Laurie, to me, vintage isn't a 1995 figure or something out of that time. Right.
I know. It just seems like it needs to be older than that. Because
So Patrick, well, damn it, lie to me. Just say it was y'all. Okay, here we go. I am going to redeem myself, Patrick, because 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
Give a little synopsis, Laurie.
Oh, sorry. Well, that is a 1980 something,
85.
85 Night Ranger sweatshirt
Yeah.
made in the USA. Still in pretty good condition from what I saw the other night.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that I don't know where that came from, but somebody's gonna want that somewhere.
Yeah. This thing is a sweatshirt, and this is what is amazing. It is so thin. You could just look. Can you see my face through it?
Not quite.
Okay. It is so thin, but it's a concert sweatshirt. Sister Christian, there you go. Oh my friggin' goodness, Patrick just said. He yelled that. I heard him from Cincinnati. Night Ranger, 1985. This was in the bins in Denver. All right. So let me back off a little bit. Let me just get me. So there you go. This is a concert t-shirt. So Patrick, yes, we don't really look for them, but I came across it. It was presented to me as, hey, is this something you want? And I had to say, yeah. I paid.
Wait, so you didn't actually find that in the bins?
I was right next to the guy that grabbed it. And I said, oh, that's good. That's good, you know? And I usually buy from him. And he goes, you want it? I'm like, yeah, I'll give you $20 for it. You know, because I wanted him, because he knew there were a couple of the people in the bins that like this kind of stuff. And I
There you go. Can you hear that?
all right, you could sing it.
No, that's okay. Sorry. He said cue it, so I had to cue it.
Sister Christian.
Okay. Go ahead. Sorry. I just had to do that.
Okay. And yeah, there you go, Sister Christian. And so there you go. I mean, this comes out. This is vintage. Now, I looked up comps. I'm going to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole with this just to show everyone how I would search up vintage. Now, hey, I know it's Night Ranger. And the print right here, you could barely see it, but it says 1985. I looked, I squinted and looked. But before I get into this, his mom and sister were sourcing at the bin. So was I. Which store? I was at Platt today. But yeah. And Lori is on it. We know she is. Thank you, YouTube. That was perfect. So I knew Sister Christian. I knew Sister Christian. I goes to show you. Oh yeah, I'm a number one fan. I'm your number one fan. Sister Christian rocks. I've been twisted.
And you never probably saw the video either.
Isn't it? No, my brain is messed up because you know what? I almost twisted sister.
Oh.
Twisted Christian.
Oh gosh, there you go.
Twisted Christian, right? All right, this is like the devil. No, all right, Night Ranger. There you go, sweatshirt. So I'm like, I know this group, and it's and everybody sells this stuff. So what do I do? So I shared the screen already on the sunglasses. I'm going to get into exactly what we have here. I just did a search just for 1985 Night Ranger T-shirt, and this is the stuff that's sold. There's not a lot there, but you know, $60 for a T-shirt, and this is 1985 stuff and whatever. So I'm gonna go under what's currently for sale, and I sorted this by highest to lowest. This is a pre-owned vintage 1985 Night Ranger. Now I found out that this design is from
I barely see that.
It's
sorry, I'm gonna make that bigger because I can't see it.
Okay. It's from Seven Wishes tour.
Oh, that was an album?
Yeah, like I guess it was a tour. So here is the T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
You see that? So now on the back of the T-shirt, it says Seven Wishes. This doesn't.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
well, was the Seven Wishes an album?
It probably was. Yeah.
Maybe that's just the album.
Oh, okay.
Artwork.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like I don't know if my brain could handle this. I'm serious. Like, I don't know if my brain has the time or the patience to start learning how to evaluate concertees.
You know what? I think you should just know that they're popular, they're desirable, and don't worry
Bolo.
about it.
Bolo. Okay, Bolo.
Don't worry about it.
I know. All right, but you know how we are. We're like, we need to be experts at it, so we save time when it comes to listing. Just that. So, all right, I'm just gonna grab all that stuff as we go.
Why not?
Right. So what I also did, I stopped sharing screen. Um, just there were so many. I want to open another tab. All right.
I mean, if I was in the bins looking for stuff and I saw an old Bon Jovi t-shirt or something, like Molly Crew, that
Oh
type
yeah.
of stuff in the day, I mean, I would grab it. I would think that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that exists across the board. Even
Mm-hmm.
like games and stuff, right? People like I think the flippin' hustler said, people want to buy back their childhood. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of people do. And how many times did your mom go into your room and chuck everything in the closet, or cleaned your room and chucked your old collection of this or that, and you don't have it anymore.
My mom chucked my old love notes that I wrote to my girlfriend in 6th grade. I'm still a little upset about that, but I think after she probably read them all.
Well, I don't think you're going to find those on eBay.
This is my therapy session. Yes, off of I-70. That's Kearney. Yeah. All right. There's 3 stores. Even back in the day, there was bootleg shirts. So
True.
here you go. I think this could be bootlegged.
Really?
I just have a weird feeling because I don't know. Look how sloppy this is. It's crooked.
You're right. It's crooked.
It's off center.
That's true.
But you're not going to a concert to buy like designer concert shirts. But look how off center that is.
You would think that the real deal would be at least centered.
You think somebody had like a silk screening thing in the Meadowlands parking lot in Jersey, and they're just ripping these apart, like ripping these. And back then, this was probably $20, which was a lot. You could get them for you could get these concert t-shirts back then, $10-12 maybe. I don't know. But the only concert t-shirt I bought was 6 years ago in Denver at Pepsi Center, an Iron Maiden bootleg concert shirt for $10 just because I wanted to. I was like, I have to get an Iron Maiden shirt because I'm not a poser. I love them, but I just can't. I'm not a real like concert dude. Yeah. So look at that. Off center. Still smells like 80s perfume. I think it was a girl's.
Oh.
I just have a feeling. I don't think guys bought sweatshirts back then.
So even something like that in that condition, do you think that's even like legitimately, you can legitimately sell that on eBay? It's not considered a counterfeit?
I don't know. That's a great question.
Because you can't sell counterfeit stuff.
Dave, I don't know. You might have a bootlegger, but even those are worth something.
That's what I'm saying. Like, people don't care. And how is eBay going to know that it's not real? Or how do you think Night Ranger people are like scouring eBay looking for counterfeit sweatshirts?
Mm-hmm. Hello, Grace. Thanks for hopping in. Grace, we're going to talk about you in 2 minutes.
Oh,
mm-hmm.
Hi, Grace.
Special story about that. What tag is that?
It was. Yeah, what was it? There was a name on it.
What is it?
Knit.
Knit.
It says Pro Pick Knit.
Pro Pick Knit.
Yeah. At least I don't know.
What do you think? Size L, made in the USA.
That's a small for a large. I guess back then that was a large. Seems kind of small.
People are bigger. People are bigger nowadays. So put that in the description. Unknown. I have done that on Pokemon cards. Interesting.
I mean, I don't know. The fact that I think it was like, made in the USA at least says something, I guess. I don't know.
All right. I want to
Hi,
get in.
Grace.
I want to get into. I want to get into Grace's story. She DM'd me this afternoon. She goes that she came across over the weekend a 6 pair of American Optical vintage aviator sunglasses, gold filled. So let's share the screen. This is all vintage related stuff. So let me bring that up. Right. Help me out here. Okay, there. So this is what she came across. 6 pair of these.
6 of them.
6.
Wow.
Now these are all I sorted by sold. Okay, and these are all used. I did a search for vintage American. Okay, here we go. Vintage. Now a vintage. Because American Optical they sell current ones like this that are not worth much. So I put vintage American Optical aviator sunglasses, gold filled, because gold filled is not gold tone. Like it states gold filled on the sunglasses. And I just sorted by ended recently. I'm not going to get crazy and highest to lowest because you'd be
Well, there's only 36
only 36 listings.
or 35 results.
Oh, 35. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Is that what
30,
it says? Yeah.
It says 35 results. So this is just ending recently, which gives an indication, indicator or whatever, indication, whatever. You could see that these sell quickly. $200 to 300. Look at that. American Optical gold-filled sunglasses. This was an auction. They went for $393. This was another auction, $278. This was a buy it now, $599 or best offer. Somebody probably said, I'll give you $350, and they probably took it because we have found, just share with the group, especially with items like this, where it's very difficult to nail down the exact market value. It's not impossible, but it's very difficult. Most people set these up as auctions, and there are collectors out there that love these. I don't know who they are, but they could be overseas. They could be in Japan. You'd be shocked. Here's one that sold for $850. Grace was like, I might be able to pay my mortgage this month and next month and next month and next month.
I'd like to know how she came to have 6 of them.
We'll never know.
That's amazing.
But she has such a great eye. She's a great sourcer. She knows the value of things, and she sees it. Like, so and that's a good thing. When you're out there sourcing this kind of stuff, you could just take a gamble. I assume she got them for like at most $5 a pair. If she was at an estate garage sale getting these. So my guess, and she shared, we went back and forth, is this was probably someone's collection where they loved the frames. And they had a couple pair of sunglasses. Some were prescription, some were not. And they had regular ones with prescription. So look at this. This is not highest to lowest. These are $200 to $300 a pair. And most of them did go by auction. She has 6 of these. So I just think that's amazing that, yes, vintage does sell. But all because something is vintage doesn't mean that it's going to sell. You just have to find the right things. And she probably has ones from the 60s or the 70s, which were very popular. These are like, I'm going to say like Tom Cruise type. They're not like Ray-Ban aviators, Laura. But so I just want to share. That's Grace's success story that she wanted to share with us. And
wow, that's amazing.
It really is. Now, whether you find those at a garage sale, yard sale, Goodwill, flea market, whatever, it's it. Flippin' Hustler. Never heard of it. I know. It's one of those things where you look it up and you pound away and you educate yourself on the spot.
I think he was talking about the tag.
Oh, okay. You're right.
Of the Night Ranger.
Well, this could apply to that, but yeah, the tag. I'm a little delayed here. Hello, Deneen. Wow.
Hi, Deneen.
I know, Deneen. I mean, wow is right. Yeah. How do you steer away? Deneen does vintage, somewhat vintage, right? she's not going to pass it up. Let's put it that way. She's a thrifter. So if you're a thrifter, especially in fashion, I bet you she has a great.
But it's funny how you say, "Oh, you would pass it up, but just because it might take too long to sell." Right? You would pass it up because it takes too long to sell, but we get electronics that take forever to sell too. So
you're smaller. I'm thinking now, when I think of fashion, I think of Deneen right here. Like when I think of vintage, I think of fashion. That's what I meant. And I think of Deneen when I think of fashion too. But Deneen, like, vintage fashion could be bulky. And I'm so like space conscious that I don't want to do that. And it's okay.
But shirts and small pieces of clothing don't take up very much space. Like if, like, you know what I mean? Like vintage clothing, t-shirts, whatever. I think it'd be the hard part is finding them.
So Grace, I was going to share the photos, but the photos disappear on DM on Instagram. They disappear after like a half an hour or something. After I view them, I couldn't bring them up. But she, to Grace's point right there, these glasses were in cases. They were each in their, regular, sunglass case, and they were ratty. They were beat up, which makes it even better.
Wow.
Because that validates that these are vintage. Like these are beautiful, these are great. This is 6 pair. This is like $2,000. Well, anywhere $1,500 to $2,000 in glasses she found. The frames alone could sell. We could go on and on.
That's awesome.
Gosh, it's beautiful. I love it. And Grace, thank you for stopping by our warehouse on Saturday. Was it Saturday or Sunday? Saturday.
I think it was Friday.
I'm so that actually was it.
This whole weekend we were so off. We thought Friday was Saturday and Saturday was Sunday. Yeah, we had a whole extra day in there. Not an extra hour.
Oh yeah. So that was Grace's amazing success story, which happened a couple days ago. So, I mean, now she's thinking American. Now she knows American Optical for the next 10 years. She's not going to. We all do. I don't know. I think she may know it more because it was so impactful. But isn't that cool? I think that's cool. And I actually said, when she said, "Hey, I found 6 pairs of AO," she said AO sunglasses. I'm like, I know AO. I forgot that it was American Optical. I'm like, that's so funny because I was in my car at the time and I had a pair of AO. And I took a picture. I said, just like these, right? But the ones I have are ones you could get at the store for $25, $30 nowadays. But it's the same.
Gold-filled?
No, it's the same style.
Right.
I don't know. It's gold. 12 karat gold fill. I don't even know.
That's got to be why they're so valuable.
Flipping awesome, Grace. Congratulations. Yes. A 12 by 9 by 6 box holds about 12 shirts. Looks about 8 a box. This is just taking up space and grumbles. And yeah, we're just spoiled. We're all just spoiled resellers. You hear it all the time. I went to the bins and it stunk today. I only got 10 things. I went to flea markets. I didn't find anything but a vintage blah. It's like, it's so funny. Yes. Oh, Friday. Yeah. Then she stopped by. And so yeah, just stick with it. Just I shared with you, Laura, like I'm totally like I'm losing inventory in my head. Like Apple TVs, those little black pucks. I don't know. You can look them up.
The big fat ones are good though. Don't forget that.
Those are good.
The 4th generation ones.
But the 1st or 2nd generation, whatever, they're like $15 now. We used to sell them all day long last year for $45, and I used to get them. Boom! I used to buy my flea markets for $10. So that is gone. Like I don't pick them up, so I need to replace them with something. I went picking today. All the stuff is in my car. Found some pretty cool things. Nothing crazy, but Yeah, so I'm just replacing. I'm trying to replace those things that we lose.
The Rolodex in your mind of reselling.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Mhm.
happens all the time too, because a lot of times we'll get stuff and it seems like, oh, this is awesome. It has a great sales history. It's a good price. And then you find out that it's tied to somebody else's account and there's no way you can untie it to that account. So it's useless.
Mhm. And Patrick meant by the box, like, meaning I have shirts I am just sitting on, but that's my perceptive. Like to others, that's a gold mine. To me, I would much rather have 12 figurines or comics. Like he sells these little figures. Like that's the thing that energizes him. Like these, sure. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Grace said she has some vintage Welsh aviator sunglasses too. I don't know what those are, but I'd have to look them up. But it's just fun stuff. I also wanted to share one last thing. We have 5 more minutes, but I just was looking. These are plentiful. Here we are.
Oh, those just the cases?
Yes. If you're at a Goodwill anywhere, these brown Ray-Ban sunglass cases, they add up. I have a bunch over there. I was going to bring them out, but you get the point. Like you could just lot them up. If you're at a Goodwill, pick them up for $1. You're at the bins, pick them up for 30 cents, and then lot them up. There are so many people out there that want these to resell either theirs, replace theirs, and it's decent money because they do average anywhere from $6 to $7 a piece once you sell them in a lot. So, but especially the brown ones, these are these brown cases right here, the aviator metal sunglasses go in. Don't you have one, Laura?
I do. Yep. One time it was empty and I didn't know where my glasses were.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah. No, so are there different color brown ones? It looks like or they're all just
Yes.
brown? But it looks like there's a dark brown and a light brown.
Yeah.
And then a black or a dark brown.
Good. Yeah. Good point. I think the dark brown is misleading, but there's like a tan and then there's like I don't know what to call it, like a light brown. Yeah. There's like this tan that I'm circling right here. These are like the original back from the 80s, 70s. And then these are kind of like a replica reproduction of that.
Okay.
And then you have different sizes of the blacks, but they definitely are worth it to keep a look out for. Something to just always grab.
Anything, they're light.
Yeah, anything designer. I found sometimes you come across a vintage case, like even what I showed you here. This is a Ray-Ban sport pouch, probably from the 80s. It's kind of ratty and disgusting, and I'm going to leave it like that. I'm not going to clean it. And I couldn't find any comps on eBay. So what I may do is do like a worth point, Laura, because I think what you and I are we're probably going to get worth point to experiment with that. Do like a Google Lens on that. Great point earlier. Flippin' Hustler, definitely going to do a Google Lens on this, and see what this goes for. This could be $25 or more. I've sold some cases that were much more.
Yeah,
and
you
Patrick,
never know.
Here, speaking of bin picking, I just released a new Out and About. Guess where Patrick went? He went to the bins. My question is, did he stay there more than an hour? I say the over and under of him staying an hour. See, and thanks, we could help out Patrick because he would pass by all those Ray-Ban cases. We have, how many do we have in Unit 4 in our tub?
Of those cases?
Yeah.
I don't know. We have lots of cases because we know we could we would like to match them up with the glasses that we find. But we have binned those up ourselves or bundled them and sold them. I can't remember when or for how much, but yeah.
And it's also good, like when you're out at flea markets or you just find a pair of Ray-Bans that you could resell, you put that case with it, it's going to make you, and if you do a photo, like if your first photo shows the sunglasses with the case, yours will, that's better than having an excellent title because people will see, oh, I'm going to get 2 things. That's great. So bundle it up. And that's why I love eBay, because it's
Yeah.
like you could show multiple things. It's 6:00. We could go, we could go on and on. We're not vintage people, but I think we can probably have a guest and to talk about vintage. We know a lot of people that really are into this, and we could probably bring them on and have them share what they experience with vintage selling. So to answer the title of the thing, yes, it is worth it, regardless of.
Definitely.
Exactly. And Patrick, thank you so much. Awesome show. So much good info. Make sure to light up the boom, 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 the thumbs. Just subscribe as well. I think we have 207 subscribers. I'm only,
That happened.
I don't know. I'm only friends with like 2 or 3 people. So they're not my people. But thank you, Patrick. Appreciate that so much. And next week, I believe we are going to have a special guest. We're going to try to have, excuse me, we're going to try to have Marcy, who works with us at eBliss. She's an account manager, and she has worked at UPS and USPS, and she has a lot of cool insight.
And she's a reseller herself.
Yeah, she's
on multiple platforms.
on multiple platforms, and she's
an artist. She's off.
Yeah,
Jack
she's
of all trades.
Yeah, so tune in, ask some questions. We'll let everybody go. It's after 6:00. There's some other YouTube shows. Go check them out.
Yep.
Thanks again, everyone. Just get,
Thank you.
Subscribe and follow us on Instagram.
See you next week.
Ask us any questions about reselling. We love it. This is what we do. Thank you.
Yep. Bye.